Hello guys, so this is my second episode, but before I start talking about it, I have a disclaimer. So I posted my first episode about a week ago, talking about the four biggest classical books in Chinese literature, and the channel, my channel is Kenyan sinologist, so my target audience is obviously Kenyans, and so in that first video, I tried my best to incorporate as much Kiswahili and as much Sheng language as possible. But over the course of the week, I've been thinking a lot about what language I should continue using since when I was editing that video and adding subtitles, it took me a lot of time. Or even if it didn't take me as much time, maybe it was a bit too much work, I feel like. So I've been thinking, and I've consulted a few friends, and I've come to the conclusion that I should try my best to speak English, because obviously, in as much as my target audience is Kenyans, I know that Kenyans understand English. So if I do end up speaking English, there is no difference in the level of understanding for Kenyans. But since it's not only Kenyans who might want to see these videos, if I do end up speaking Swahili or Sheng, I have to add subtitles for them, right? So I have decided that I'm going to try my best to speak English so that I don't have too much work later on trying to add subtitles for people who don't speak my language. Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like if there are things that I need more explaining in maybe Sheng or maybe Swahili, then I'll try and do that. But the disclaimer is, going forward, I'll try my best to speak English and to be as clear as possible in English rather than mix all these three languages together. Yeah. So let's start. Today we are talking about古代神话. 古代神话 is the ancient myths and legends, and how they came about to be. So in ancient times, due to the low levels of productivity and the poor living conditions of the people at that time, the people understood very little scientific knowledge, right? So they could not understand the many natural and social phenomena that were happening at the time. And so this led them to have very subjective fantasies about life. Yeah, and created so many magical images, in their heads. Yeah. So these myths and legends, they reflect the people's, thinking at the time. The primitive fantasies about the natural phenomena and the social phenomena at the time. Means Shanghai Jin is the classics of the mountains and the seas. And this book, it's an ancient book that recorded the living conditions of the people's ideological activities during that time, and it shows the state of civilization and culture in that ancient time. It holds the largest number of mythical stories, yeah, and in images, and this book plays a very important role in the research and um, the understanding and the dissemination of Chinese mythical information, and how they were spread and how they were initiated. So I'm going to tell you about myths and legends from various perspectives, from the perspective of creation of this world, to how civilizations came to be, and how Chinese civilization came to be. Myths about nature, myths about love, and even culture. Like in the last episode, we talked about the Monkey King, right? That's also a very mythical figure in Chinese culture, but that's more associated with literature. So yeah, let's talk about creation. So from where I come from, we are a very religious people, right? We believe in Christianity. I mean, a majority of us are Christians, and we have this belief that God created the earth, created man, created all that we know, right? Um, I don't want to bring religion into this, but that's a belief that we have, right? So how do the Chinese believe the world was created? So I'm going to introduce three people, or rather three figures. The first one is, his name is PanGu. The second one is Nüwa, and then the third one here is FuXi. So these three mythical figures are the ones that are mostly associated with the creation of the world and the creation of civilization, Chinese civilization. So let's start with PanGu. PanGu Kaitian PD. Kaitian PD basically means the beginning of history. So PanGu, the figure we see in these images, is the one who's credited with the creation of the earth. And the belief is that before the heavens and the earth were separated, there existed something in the shape of an egg, in the form of an egg, and PanGu lay inside there. He was asleep inside all that was in there, and one day he woke up, and he felt like there was a lot of pain around him. So in that whole darkness thing, he felt his arm, he felt around him, and then he felt like there was an axe. So he picked up the axe and then struck very violently, like this image. Um, yeah, and after striking the egg, he had a loud bang, and some things started rising slowly into now what we refer to as the heavens, and the heavy things started to sink slowly, and that now became earth. So he was afraid that the heavens and the earth would close up again into that shape. So he stood like this and separated the two for a very long time, for 18,000 years. That's how the belief states. He stood like this for 18,000 years, and during this period, the sky rose a centimeter higher and the earth sank a centimeter thicker. So yeah, but one day he ran out of strength, and then his body became now what we know in between. His left eye became the sun, his right eye became the moon, his hair and beard became the stars, his breath became the wind and the clouds, his blood became rivers, his sweat became rain. Yeah, and his muscles became the fields that we plow today. So that's the story of PanGu. And because of time, I'm going to go through this very quickly. Figure Nüwa, and as you can see in this image, her body is half human, half serpent or dragon. This Nüwa, and so basically Chinese people say Nüwa, and basically means that Nüwa created man. So the belief is that she's the creator of man. And her story goes like after PanGu opened the world, there were no people in it, right? So she was very bored and very lonely. And don't ask me where she came from, because I don't know. I mean, even in the Bible, if you ask me, where did there was Adam and Eve, right? And then they gave birth to Cain and Abel, and then they were both sons. So how did, I don't want to suggest anything, but some things, they don't make sense. So if you ask me where she came from, I also don't know. But anyway, let's continue. So she felt very lonely and very bored. So one day she picked up a lump of yellow mud, and she shaped it in her own shape, and she put it on the ground, that little clay figure, and then it came into life, and she was so happy. So she kept squeezing little clay shapes and putting them on the ground, and they became people. But this was tiring. So one day she accidentally picked up a twig and stirred it in mud a few times, and then tossed it around, and the little mud particles from the twig, they fell on the ground, they became people. So that's how the Chinese people believe that the yellow people came into being through her. That mythical figure is FuXi. So how is it depicted in art and culture? As you can see, is also half man, half human, half serpent. And FuXi is regarded as the ancestor of Chinese civilization. Why? So this person is believed to be the key contributing factor towards the invention of writing, which made communication and the recording of information easier. This was through, for example, the Bagua, or rather the 8 trigrams. This was used in divination and philosophy. Is also associated with the creation of tools such as fishing nets and traps that made getting food more efficient and easier. And he's also associated with the introduction of marriage customs, which established the social and the moral codes between moral codes of the relationships between man and woman. He made calendars, and he also made people understand the cosmic balance between natural forces, the yin and yang. And I'm going to talk about the trigrams later, much more in detail. So he's basically his contributions toward Chinese civilizations are very major, and is thus regarded as the founding figure of Chinese civilization. As you can see in his image, most images in that attempt to explain his coming into being all portray him holding either a compass or the Bagua, as you can see in this image here. So because there's a limitation on YouTube on how much time I can a video has to be around 15 minutes. So I'm going to break down this episode into maybe 3 parts, where I'm going to talk the second episode. The second part of this episode, I'm going to talk about the other myths associated with nature and love, and maybe in the third part of the episode, I'm going to talk more about I don't know if it's clear here, about these 8 trigrams, and their significance and what they actually mean, much more in detail. See you in the next one, right?